So I'm going to start off with what people call firkins, sugar buckets. This is not old. This is a newer one. You can tell by the inside that nobody stored any food or any yummies in there. But it's got this. It's got water damage. I don't know if some of the veneer on this little board is broken off. But I think just painting this is going to give it new life. It's just going to make somebody love it again. Staining the inside will give it a little bit of, I've been used. I'm not so completely brand new. Okay, so let's see. I mean, the damage is what the damage is. It looks like it had gotten wet. So really, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it up. And I think I'm going to be using Storm, the Fusion's chalk and limestone paint on it. The blue old-timey primitive color, I think will really do it justice. Yes, I'm going to paint right over it. I'm not going to try to fix that. I think actually it'll make it look older than it is by just painting over that. I think I'm going to test out the lid, and see how that goes. I love the coverage of this paint. It is just amazing. And the nice thing about it is we can sand it, we can distress it, we can stain it. It gives a nice coverage, very nice coverage. And it should flatten out that we don't really see brush strokes, especially since we can sand it. Like I said, we're just going to paint right over that. It'll be okay. We're just trying to make it so it doesn't stick out. Now I was going to do 2 coats of paint on this, but I want it to look like that old timey, like where they would have just like done a stain that was colored, I think. I don't know if how they did paint back in the day, but I'm going to go ahead and just take some sandpaper and we're going to start to smooth that out. I want to be able to see some of that wood grain, which is just popping it. I know if you're here on this channel for a pristine paint job, you might want to change the channel. That's not my vibe. I'm into making things look aged and distressed and older than what they are. We all have our vibes. We all have our tribes. So okay, so now I'm going to be using some Fusion's aging wax, and that's just going to bring this all together. I didn't seal it in with anything, but this is going to be its sealer. So I'm just going to rub it all on, and it'll kind of change the paint color a little bit, but it'll richen it up and really give it that old-timey, primitive. Oh, it does. Now, if I wanted to darken it, I could have used antiquing, but I didn't want that. I just wanted it to look like the paint has kind of worn off over time. And then I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to go right into the inside. And we're going to darken that very raw, natural looking wood up. Look at how much difference that makes. Oh, amazing. So I'm going to be working on some of my thrifted finds, some of those items I saw out and about, and I'm like, I think I can make that better. I think I can get that into a beautiful home decor. Okay, so it's just a little mini, but we all need places to stash our stuff, y'all. We just do. So, I mean, you could have it this way. You could have it that way. I really kind of like it that way because I love any items that you can gather, your littles, your treasures. And it's natural wood. It's never been painted. So we have the little box. And I think instead of this being the bottom, which is I think probably what they intended it to be, I thought it would be cute to put a couple little, I know they have holes, but I think it'd be cute to rise it up a little bit, match the little knobbies that, oh, they roll, match all the little knobs. I think that would be a cute idea. So we're just going to use some Type On Quick and Thick. I'm going to try to put it all the way out to the corner. Trying to match them up as best as I can. Now we'll just let it dry. Talk about raw wood. I'm not sure if you can get any rawer than that. So I'm going to go ahead and seal this in with a few coats of shellac so that the paint's just not absorbing into the raw wood. And yep, I'm going to leave the drawers just like they are. Okay, taped off my drawers. I'm just going to be painting the drawer faces. And I'm going to go in with Marigold. Look at that color. Oh, and just like anything else, you know, if you want it bright, you just leave it that color. If you want to tone it down and make it look more primitive, you add some waxes. I thought it would be fun to give it a little feet. To paint just to the outside of the box. With this raw wood, like just painting it made all, it feels rough and yucky. I'm just taking 220 sandpaper. If it goes back down to the natural, I don't really care because we are going to be doing some wax on it, but we definitely need to get it sanded back down, and nobody wants to feel that roughness. And then I'll probably try to give some curvage to that really, like, if this was an older piece, it still wouldn't have all those straight lines they would have wore with time. Well, you know they're on there, right? I'm sanding like that and they're not coming off. Okay, now I'm just going to go over the whole thing, including the natural, and see what we get. You know how that is? You need an extra brush to get into those corners. So I have a couple bowls. They've been in my booth way too long. So we're going to paint these up you know, when something sits and you leave it natural, sometimes you just get it painted. Wooden bowls. Yeah, sometimes they don't sell. How long do you let something sit? So I'm going to do one. I'm going back to that yummy colors. This is rosemary, which is an amazing green. Painting both sides. But I'm looking for a paint that I can distress and show some age and put stain over. I did clean these, but because it's such raw wood, all those little fuzzies stuck to it from my cloth. Now I'm going to do amber, which is, look at that color. Oh, they definitely got it going on when they have with the primitive colors. I love the way the firkin turned out. I thought, you know what? I am not going to paint the inside. I have a bowl in my house that I put our apples and bananas and tomatoes in. And I'm like, it's not painted on the inside. So I think I'm just going to leave these be wood, though I'm going to go ahead around and 220 sandpaper, sand the edge off first. And then sand the paint. As you see, it just absorbed right in. And I like sanding because it really makes it look older, because the paint would have wore off where that was. Now I don't necessarily want to darken up the inside of these, so I'm just going to use some clear wax. That'll condition that very raw wood, protect it from spills. Just bring it right back to life, and apparently clean it a little bit. Clean that. Okay, but on the back of them, I do want to add a little bit more patina. That's why I wanted to do the fronts first. That way I didn't get any of the aging wax on that part of it. And the fun thing about the aging wax is all the detail that's left behind, it'll get into. I love cubby boxes, but I don't know what they have going on. It just looks like somebody smeared baby poop on the front of these. I think they were trying to make it a rusty, crusty reproduction, but it's not very pretty. So I'm gonna see what I can do. With it to make it a little bit better. Okay, so I think I'm going to spray paint over these. So let's get them all out. Yeah, I think I'm just going to paint the faces. So I'm just going to tape off and give it a little line. Okay, I think I'm just going to do them black when I'm looking at my spray paint of what I think I have on hand that they would look the best. So I think I'm going to just do black. Now I want to give this like it's salvaged so it's a little bit chippy, even though the drawers won't be as chippy. But this is raw wood, so if I just paint on it, the paint's going to soak in. If I put beeswax on it, the beeswax is just going to soak in. So I need to go ahead and seal it in with a couple coats of shellac. So I wanted this to have like a chippy, like I've been used in somebody's garage shop, man cave. So I'm going to use some of the Sweet Pickins beeswax, which is nice and sticky. So I'm just going to go ahead and rub it on here. And then that's going to prevent the paint from sticking in areas. Absorbed into this very dry wood. I'm not painting the inside, I'm just going on this outer edge here. For the color, I'm going to be using DIY's, the cottage colors in the garden sage. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. I've had really good luck with the DIY cottage colors with the wax. Very good luck. Okay, coat number 2 is dry. I'm just going to take my Cricut scraper. And we're just going to see what scrapes off. All depends on the day of what scrapes off. I don't have enough scraping off. I'm just going to take some sandpaper. Remember, we want this to look like a used piece. No, it's sandpaper to the... It is sandpaper to the rescue. Just going to take a cloth and wipe it down, because you're going to be able to feel that wax still, the beeswax. And that way, so that it doesn't chip off on somebody else that buys it. See how, like, even just rubbing it? I'm going to go in and we're going to spray it with some weather defense to make sure it's sealed in. Always worth the time for me to tape off. Always. Get a nice clean line. Now it's let's find which one goes into which container. You know, you always think, oh, it's gonna, they don't always fit all right in there. Okay, so I don't want to have freshly painted when I have chippy and, you know, there's that. So I'm going to take some sandpaper. And yep, we're going to rough up spots where there would have been wear on these. I'm just going to take a little bit of steel wool, take down the shininess of the weather defense. And then if my sandpaper by chance made a little line or anything, this should take, this is the finest grit steel wool there is, which is the 4 zeros. newfangled galvanized, but can we make it cute? Because being able to gather your decor, one, is easy to dust that way. And it's just something about grouping yummies together, your little treasures together. So it is a little riser, not changing the feet out. I don't have any powers of metal work on me, but I did love just the detail, and I could see this just being painted up a different color. Okay, we're going to do this piece, and I'm going to need to sand it a little bit just to give it a little surface area for paint to grab onto, because metal's not porous. It's just going to kind of be resting on there. I'm just taking some rubbing alcohol, just 70%. Just your basic rubbing alcohol, just wiping off all the sanding dust that I created and giving it a good base to be able to paint it. Wouldn't have thought that much sanding dust would have came off, but yep, that's what it does. Okay, I've got it in my spray room. We're going to go ahead and spray paint it because I think that's going to be the easiest. And I'm going for my Laurel Green, which is one of my good sellers in my booth. Just Rust-Oleum's Laurel Green. Now, I do not know why this stays tacky forever. Most spray paints dry in like an hour. I don't know why the Laurel Green is that way. But if I seal it in with weather defense, I will be good to go. I've let this dry for about an hour and a half. But it would take almost 2 days to get that stickiness if I didn't spray and seal it in. I don't know why. If y'all know, tell me. Okay, my weather defense on the other side has dried. I let it sit for about an hour. Now we're going to finish it up. I'm just going to do a little bit of, just like around here, I'm going to take some clear wax. Kind of rub it in. Where is it? So DIY Decrepit Dust. I have both colors. I don't know if I'm going to need them or not. But I thought it would just a little, so it doesn't look like I just like freshly painted it. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed this kind of content where you're taking thrifted items that just need updated. A little bit of paint goes a long way. And when I share these videos, I am just sharing that if you see items like this out and about, if you have items in your own home that you kind of have stuffed away, maybe like, oh, I'm going to put those in a garage sale, just paint them up. That's all it takes is a little bit of paint, a little bit of loving. Primitive, distressed is my vibe. So I hope you enjoyed that kind of content, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what I'm up to. Bye.